Alright, we gotta get right into this. We got a 6 strongest ever recorded. It is tied. This quake is tied for the 6th strongest ever recorded globally. Ever. Like history. Let me invite someone. Oh. This is insane. I gotta talk about this. I gotta talk about it. Okay, everybody, you know, in Hawaii, even my neighbors are in Hawaii right now. They should be coming back right now because this is dangerous and bad. We get new news coming in. This is insane. Alright, let's watch. Wow. The most bad spot was in the middle of the ocean. So don't be mad.
All right, so this is some new video just into our newsroom. This is from an area in Russia. And this is our first look at this tsunami wave, where we can see, this is called the, I'm sorry if I mispronounce this, the Severo-Kurilsk area. And this is in Russia's Kuril Islands. And you can see the tsunami wave coming, and you can see it doing damage. And that's our first look at that as this repeats, Marla.
Yeah, and on a closer look, you'll see the buildings being swept away. So these images are out there. There's a watch for the entire West Coast coastline. Here's what I'm talking about here when you're seeing the buildings being swept away. This is one of the largest top 10 earthquakes to strike.
Since 1990, since 1900. One of the top 10 earthquakes in the world since 1900, 8.7 magnitude quake. And you think about, earthquakes as you get up in magnitude, they're not all the same. I mean, that is a enormous earthquake, which we think happened out in the middle of the ocean. Because if something like that would have happened right under land, the devastation would be, unbelievable. But as we saw with Japan, when we had that big quake there in Fukushima, the tsunami was more deadly than the quake itself. And we know the power of water in terms of a tsunami wave is about as powerful a force as there is on Earth. And it can move buildings, it can move cars, and it can kill a lot of people quickly. Hopefully we don't have that situation here, but it is concerning when we start hearing about these.
If you guys are in near, if I mispronounce this, Kamchatka, near Russia, in Russia, actually. Please be taking a little bit of shelter. Oh. Just look at this.
Прошел примерно час с момента землетрясения основного. Так у нас мониторы выглядят. В основном здания стояли, но одно из детских садов, которое...
Okay. Okay. Good. Yep. A kindergarten. This is what it looks like. Which was under repair. Yep. This is how bad it was. Looking at the earthquake radar now. Wow. I can't believe. Yeah. Like, but there is a tsunami too. Tsunami. Tsunami. This is insane. I don't know what to say. This is insane. Let me do something off camera. did you say? Same, but this one is insane. It's like 5 meters. This is insane. Here, let me pin your message. What the heck, steak?
This morning, tsunami waves hitting the west coast of the U.S. after one of the most powerful earthquakes ever recorded.
We're trying to see the developments here stemming from this initial quake.
The massive 8.8 magnitude quake struck off Russia's coast, shaking cliffs. The shocks felt inside homes and hospitals, hitting this one during an operation. Its impact causing small tsunami waves and evacuations in Japan, where people were sheltering on rooftops. And now parts of the United States feeling the impact. On the West Coast, residents bracing. Piers closing up in California amid tsunami advisories. Water surging in Hawaii, reaching buildings after waves and strong...
This is in...
Wind struck overnight. Tsunami advisories and evacuation warnings spreading throughout the islands. Flights diverted and passengers stranded in airports. Residents sheltering inside and some racing to safer ground, causing massive traffic jams. Hawaii's governor urging people to proceed with caution in coastal zones.
Just be a little safe for a little longer. Keep our fingers crossed that we don't suffer a big tsunami.
Madison Wade, a reporter at NBC's Seattle affiliate, says she arrived at Waikiki just hours before the tsunami warnings.
They went over the intercom and told all of us to evacuate to higher ground, which means the 4th floor or above, and stay in our rooms. So they don't want anyone in the lobby right now.
Experts now warn against standing down too soon.
When you've got a big one, the biggest wave can't come later.
And back here on the West Coast, while we've certainly not seen the brunt of these tsunami waves, officials making sure to say that they are not out of the woods just yet. The National Weather Service in the Bay Area, Savannah, saying that these can still create dangerous conditions. They're seeing tidal shifts of 2 to 2.5 feet, and that could create dangerous currents up and down the coast here. Savannah?
Yeah, it's a tense night there. All right, Morgan, thank you very much.
Let's bring in Al now, who's going to sort of show us how all of this started. That's right. So here we go. You can get a sense right off the Russian coast, 7:24 p.m. Eastern time. This thing was 13 miles deep. I mean, that is massive. You combine that with the magnitude 8.8. This is probably going to end up being a top 10 strongest earthquake ever that since they've been recording this. So we've got really some sort of sense of how big this is now. So here's the earthquake epicenter. Now, a tsunami travels across the ocean at about 500 miles per hour. The distance to Hawaii, that's about 3,000 miles, 6 hours. Distance all the way to the west coast, 4,000 miles, that would take about 8 hours. So that's why we've already started to see some of this in the Hawaiian Islands where the tsunami advisories were. Highest waves right now, we're talking about Halawea at 4 feet, Kahului 5.7 feet. On the island of Maui, you can see that the wave heights got up to 5.7, but you can see this undulation that's been happening since then. So the water levels dropped below 3.5 feet and then rose 9 feet in just minutes. So that's a heck of a wave that is happening. And then along the west coast, we're looking at from all the way from Seattle all the way down into San Diego. We've got tsunami advisories. There have been some waves. Crescent City about 3.5 feet. Port St. Louis about 1.3. Santa Monica about a half-foot wave. So we're not, again, out of the woods yet, but we are going to be watching this over the next several hours because people still, and it can be aftershocks as well.
Yeah.
So we have to really keep an eye on it.
That was a helpful explainer there, buddy. Thank you.
No problem. Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts.
Tens of millions of people have been bracing overnight for a tsunami after a major earthquake in the Pacific.
People in Hawaii have been evacuating to higher ground. A nearly 6-foot wave has been reported in Maui, a 4-foot wave in Oahu.
And a 4-foot wave also reported in Monterey, California. Overnight, with some evacuations on the coast, the quake struck off the coast of Russia, the most powerful quake since 2011, setting off widespread warnings and alerts.
Video showing the quake hitting during surgery at this hospital in Russia. We begin our coverage with ABC's Lionel Moise.
Overnight, millions along the Pacific bracing after one of the largest earthquakes in recorded history struck off the coast of Russia. Just before 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, an 8.8 magnitude earthquake striking 85 miles off the east coast of Russia. The quake prompting tsunami alerts in more than 20 countries, prompting countless coastal residents to seek higher ground. Russia, the first to feel the effects of the quake, shaking seen in the Kamchatka Peninsula, people running for cover as ceiling panels fell down at an airport. This kindergarten heavily damaged, but luckily no injuries reported. And then the water began to rush in. Video shows a coastal city being inundated. This video circulating online shows the rushing waters carrying buildings away. In Hawaii, cars filling the streets of Honolulu as residents fled to higher ground.
We're under a full tsunami alert here. If you're in a low-lying area, get yourself safe, get to higher ground.
Hawaii's famous beaches evacuated, lifeguards telling people to leave immediately. Some hotels on the islands telling guests to move to higher floors, others evacuating completely as the state braced for waves up to 10 feet.
10-foot surf wave, it's good for surfers, but a 10-foot tsunami is quite different because what that means is it's like all of sea level will rise by 10 feet above normal sea level and stay high like that for maybe 5-10 minutes before it goes back down.
Airports on the island shut down. Some planes already en route over the Pacific turning around and heading back to the mainland.
Concern here is damage to life and property. So we've got air rescue crews standing by. There is a helicopter that has been making rounds along our south coast, or is about to. Some of these areas are quite isolated, and if people made the decision to try and ride it out and they are caught up in the floodwaters, they could be swept out into the ocean when the tsunami waves recede, and we want to be available to provide assistance if that's the case.
On the west coast of the U.S., a tsunami warning issued for the California coast from Cape Mendocino north to the Oregon border, but the entire west coast on alert overnight. In Japan, residents on the eastern coast taking no chances, people seen evacuating to the tops of tall buildings. A few hours after the quake, the first waves battered Japan's coast. Local authorities warning the public that although the first waves were small, they were enough to wash people away, with bigger waves potentially following. Many of those evacuating are still haunted by the memory of the 2011 earthquake and tsunami that killed nearly 20,000 people and caused a nuclear meltdown at the Fukushima power plant. And again, in Hawaii, a 5-foot wave has been reported in Maui and a 4-foot wave on the north shore of Oahu. Now, earlier I did speak to Randall Collins, Director of Emergency Management in Honolulu.
We had a very aggressive preparedness plan and marking where those tsunami zones are, and you can drive around here in Honolulu and see those signs all over the island and know where those tsunami zones are, so people know where they should be safe and where they need to evacuate from. We've had a traffic plan on how to get people out of those tsunami zones with our police department. Our fire department stands ready to do search and rescue operations after the impacts come in, and all of our resources across the board are in safe areas now and ready to respond after the impacts.
And some good news from Hawaii. Around 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time, flights to Hawaii began to resume, which is an encouraging sign for what's been going on, but we'll of course continue following this.
Let's get straight to Fox weather meteorologist Britta Merwin with the very latest. Hi, Britta.
Good morning. The worst for Hawaii is now behind us, which is just a sigh of relief to start off the day. With that said, high water definitely recorded. The last time Hawaii went through this was back in 2011 with a powerful magnitude 9.0 earthquake back then off the coast of Japan. This go around an 8.8 off the coast of Russia. The highest water rise recorded in northwest Maui at 5.7 feet. Now the latest for Hawaii is that they've lowered the urgency. We've gone from a tsunami warning down to a tsunami advisory. So again, the worst is behind us, but this is a series of waves and ebbs and flows. We don't have the all clear given yet by the Tsunami Center, and it's very important for local residents not to go back into these areas, and also people that are on vacation, until we have the all clear. Looking at the highest water level rise, there's that 5.7 on northwest Maui. Hilo is also a very vulnerable spot for tsunamis. Back in 2011, they had more than 10 feet of water move into Hilo. So it's these protected bays that we really focus on. As you mentioned, we have seen the water start to come up in California. The northwest coastline highlighted by a tsunami warning in Crescent City. The water rise already over 1.5 feet. The good news is Hawaii has fared well. We don't expect to see dramatic images coming out of California, but very important for local residents to heed these warnings. It's the middle of the night, so that is on our side, but some of this water rise will be coinciding with high tide. Looking at the impacts for what we're expecting for Alaska, we still have tsunami advisories. Again, that's a lower level of urgency than the tsunami warning that we still have in place for parts of Northern California.
Britta, any concern about aftershocks from